a very knowledgeable, I think I'm getting emotional, but I'm telling you a true story. How this man could be overthrown. So it gave me time to think. I thought and thought and thought. But he'd ingrained in me deeply on his value systems. And central to his value system was the sovereignty of the human individual. I believe that's the basis of his call for democracy, we should be each our brother's keeper, the social interventions. So he didn't come back to Ghana. He died in exile. And I resolved from then that whatever it would take, I would stay in politics. So God gave me the chance to fulfill what Buzia
critically, it's becoming very obvious that what all this is about settling political scores. It has nothing to do with renaming an airport.
Really?
It has everything to do with settling a major political part of our history, which is the sanctity and the 100% goodness of our first president and the illustrious Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The point of the history is that since Nkrumah died, he has become much bigger than when he was alive. In the year 2000, the British Broadcasting Corporation, which did the survey, and in that survey, many of us as university students voted for Kwame Nkrumah because he was competing with Nelson Mandela, and Nelson Mandela was South African. And we didn't understand how the African story of the century can be told without the emasculation of colonialism and imperialism. And you can't attribute that to Mandela. The removal of colonialism, imperialism, and the fight against neocolonialism is certainly Nkrumah's fight. So we felt that it is actually unfair to compare Nelson Mandela to Kwame Nkrumah. We even thought that John Mensah Saba had done more than Nelson Mandela for Africa, but that's beside the point. So Nkrumah then ends up by the year 2001, 2002 as this ultimate political hero who has no blemish. Now, since 2017, at the outset of Akufo-Addo's government, he began to demonstrate a certain penchant for the history of Ghana. In his maiden independence speech, and this was the first time it happened on Independence Day, he almost gave a history lecture to the audience at the Independence Square, to the point where it was becoming very long. There has been some concerns then at that time about that, and I got personally involved because I attended a forum at the Socialist Forum to discuss these things on the celebration of 24th February, which is always the big day. 24th February is the day Nkrumah was overthrown. So this year, the overthrow of Nkrumah is going to be 60 years long. And it had always been planned by some of these actors that on the 60th anniversary of Nkrumah, let us restore Nkrumah's image 100% over Ghana. This Kotoka's name on an important edifice like the airport is the remaining last leg of the nemesis of Nkrumah that must be taken away, because they have been able to establish Nkrumah as the hero and the 100% hero since the BBC issue. Now, what we have been pointing out is that they started by arguing that Kotoka is a coup maker. Okay. And then that argument appears to be shifting. If you listen to Ambassador Kwesi Pratt, he was concerned that Mahama Ayariga is turning this whole thing into a tribal matter. That what is Zakra and what is all that? It's not about a tribal matter. It is about removing the image of some coup maker, as they say. Okay, you just talked about Arthur Kennedy, who then mentioned the coup maker thing relating to Rawlings. And then we also know about Franklin Kujo, who put up how Nkrumah's regime was murderous. What we would like Ghanaians to see, and at the end of the day, the government will make its decision. And then we will have to decide whether it's a political decision that we vote on the next time or whatever we do. But we have to, we cannot ignore history. We have to make obeisance to history. The history is that from 1960 up to the time Nkrumah was overthrown in 1966, He was a despot. He was not good for Ghana. He was terrible for Ghana. The 1960 constitution, which Nkrumah put together, which I have in front of me, has Nkrumah's name buried in the constitution, Article 10.
Correct.
Where it is talking about Kwame Nkrumah as president of Ghana. So it's talking about Kwame Nkrumah as president of Ghana in that Article 10. There is also a bit more. It is in this same 1960 constitution that Nkrumah decided that there was an amendment to the 1960 constitution in 1964. And if you look at the amendment, it will interest you to know that the amendments that was provided in the 1964 amendment included the fact that Kwame Nkrumah was now able to dismiss judges. Yes. And also, yes, he was able to dismiss judges. And also, the national flag of Ghana was changed. He also banned all political parties in 1964. And people were imprisoned. Preventive Detention Act was created in 1958. You might not think of it as a bad law. It is only the usage that you can criticize. Because what happened is that Nkrumah had been attacked by a bomb. And it was becoming very scary between Nkrumah and the opposition. The violence was growing on the part of the opposition, I must say. And Nkrumah needed something that will allow the intelligence agencies to work. So that's why PDA was set up. So in fact, if you look at the usage of PDA, between 1958, when it was set up, and about 1961, it was minimal. But from 1961 to 1964, the PDA was railroading everywhere and every home was afraid. This was the state of affairs in Ghana. Now, because we are not accustomed to our history that much, and all of us, many of us talking today, were not born in that time, we all don't know that, and we are railroaded into Nkrumah as something.
That's a situation where you could be arrested and put in custody without the intervention of a court.
Not just without the intervention of the court, but on the basis that the Minister for Interior is thinking in his mind that you are preparing to do something wrong. This is a fundamental departure from the processes of the jurisprudence of the criminal court. It's just a fundamental and a wicked departure from it. That somebody can think in his head that he suspects that you are doing something wrong and then you are picked up and arrested. This was the state of affairs in Ghana at the time. Now, there was nowhere else to go because if you look at the amendment of the constitution, Nkrumah had made himself a life president.
Correct.
And he had also made CPP the only legitimate party. Now, this is the situation that led many African countries to civil wars in the 80s. Because these leaders in the 60s, a lot of these Nkrumah students who had won independence for their various countries through Nkrumah's efforts, had also become despots and were thinking like that. So Kenneth Kaunda of Zambia and all of those people, they were there till the 80s. Ofebuanye, they were there. And part of the reason why Ghana did not experience those civil wars in the late 80s and the 90s was Kotoka. That Kotoka came in and said, no, we can't do this. The only reasonable way to do was to remove him. How do we test Kotoka's fidelity to the nation and he and his friends? So they decided to do a coup. They took Nkrumah out and they began to rearrange Ghana on the path of another constitutional democracy. And they left office and they left in the hands of the constitutionally elected group of people. I must say that being an apostle of the right-wing philosophy, one thing I've always worried, even as a student, is that why did they ban CPP from the 1969 election? I thought that was blatantly wrong. And that is what led to the division in our country that we are still suffering. Busia and his people should really have allowed Nkrumah to run the election. If Nkrumah had come and he had lost the election, Busia had won. Nkrumah would have been minority leader in parliament in 70, 71. And I guess the coup may not have come. Nkrumah may have won elections again in 74. And Nkrumah, if he left as he left and still was part of politics, would now have realized the kinds of things he was doing and why the coup itself was necessary. I'm sure that if you take Nkrumah's brain at 1954, he will support the coup. If in 1954 Nkrumah will support the 1966 coup. Oliver Vomaho, when Akufo-Addo was president, thought that the soldiers should overthrow him because the government was very bad. If Oliver Vomaho had lived in Nkrumah's time, I'm sure he would have been a suicide bomber because it was much worse. Now, this is the state of affairs, and Kotoka was the rescuer. So we grow up later on and see coups, and we say he's also another coup maker. No, but he was a rescuer. The South Africa airport is named after Oliver Reginald Tambo.
That's right.
He was a terrorist on the list of everyone in the world, UN and everybody. But
well, even Mandela was on terrorist
list. The airport was named after him. So what we are saying is that let's put the history in proper perspective. If after we all have acquainted ourselves with this history and then understood why Kotoka may be considered a hero, for which reason the airport will be named after him, not just a coup, but the kind of circumstance that occurred, then if after all that, the people still want to name
so that from your point of view, Kotoka will be a liberator. That for a period, for almost 10 years, nobody could breathe in this country. There was nothing like freedom of expression, freedom of association, because Nkrumah had become a terrible despot. Correct?
That's the point. Not just that, the 1960 constitution, and in Ghana we have had 60 constitution, we are at 69, we are at 79.
Yo, yeah, sure, Bibia. Good evening to everyone watching me from wherever you're watching me from. Yeah, sure, Bibia. Waba subia, yeah, chiao, yeah, do Bibia say, aha, yankoto 101, YouTube, Facebook, yankoto. The conversation still continues, and we will see who will prevail, and people will be will be pressurized to give some stupid support to anything at all. But we are here. We will let the people know the true history, the circumstances leading to the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, and why Kotoka's name should not be left untouched. Yadobi Biase will say hi to some of us. Sabuje Abozege and Albert Boche, Musa Alo, Happy Beb, Happy Bebe Danso, any more Mokika Hobia. Let's try to get the names right. Albert, Mama Mudinimra, Nayeshe, Kasa, Kasa Very, Hoimbu, Pauline Bridget Apia, No Babs, Nana Sasu, Roberta Lamte, Seidu Isaka, Monko Swana, Mon like video, Namon share, Yaba Yache, Intino, Sawan contribute to or YouTube ni Facebook na the system no will work against us. Into Yabadada, but maybe any number YouTube no any encouraging. I know say it's not the original time. I don't come on Sundays. Into definitely you have to do extra work before obenya system ni say ebeboa na akọ amanfo feed mu. Into wo a wanya feed no wo na be engage wo ho wo na be share ama amanfo nso ensaka na o mate de ye ka no. We'll continue this conversation. Yebeka kwesi say da Yesu Kristo beba. Aban papa aba Ghana for mo na mayo ma ho say mo bebo mo ho wicked. Enti no say mo bebo mo ho wicked a na say dollar aba form na say still a wakofa nneama aba na wo say wonte so but o pese aban bi ebetwe aba e de bo na obu wie a na wa kro na wasan betro say e na aban bi emre bi etwam no obebo maame ebebo papa ebebo wofa eka wofa kerosene egu fom ti no ema wo na naanum ne wofa ase no nto aba ma aban bi sa enioma we just as Paul Adomotri ranting regarding Kutuka, the name of Kutuka on the airport. This same thing, if we don't put a stop to it, is going to be something inimical to the progress and the historical records. Yebeja hoto adiato hama in Chima. We are here. We will make sure that people who want to try and suppress our rich history, we will hold their hands, stop them, and let the people know their true history. Man has no nature. What man has is history. If you forfeit your history, you have no direction and you have no hope. We don't want to build a community of people who are who are going to be in great despair. They have no hope regarding their history, regarding everything, their culture and tradition. Yewaha say we are here and we will suppress every damn hand trying to suffocate the history of Ghana. Now, you see, sometimes I started to believe why certain people claim that they are learned and they shroud themselves with the statement, learned friend, learned colleague, and what have you, especially those who have gone through the law process na ɛwɔ Ghana hɔ no. Something ayinini or say or a lawyer into a regarding the home or for referring as my learned colleague, my learned friend. But Otiho and Paul Adumotre make it blatant lies. Say Nkrumah was a despot, and you, Samson Ayinene, repeated. Say Nkrumah no a despot. Nkrumah no a authoritarian, no a dictator. Nkrumah imposed, foised himself on the people of Ghana. And the big question is, did Nkrumah do it single-handedly, or those things are omo kano? A Parliament of Ghana and the institute and now say the people of the country at the time and these are some of the questions the intelligent ones ne womumuno musa, then they carry you along the lines of stupidity, and in the end we will continue to wallow in this vicious cycle of what we call obliviousness, or I don't know how to even put it. Wote ho, wako school, wo from ho say woye hwan yetimi ma deben journalist of the year, hwan program host of the year. Obi te ho distorted the political history, the economic history, the every history be about Ghana. Wote ho, ontumi nka nche Paul Adumotre say asem no a woka se Kwame Nkrumah sesa Ghana flag, the CPP flag, and the pese a Ghana flag. Then the question is, they should first of all show to you the Ghana flag and the CPP flag. The second point is that Paul Adumotre should have told the entire country, say, Nkrumah did it, and nothing went through parliament, nothing went through referendum, and what have you. Munyina munim. Se adie bia Nkrumah ye bia no Ghana for Ghana mra ne man ho kwan man ye. And let's assume that Nkrumah became a despot, became a dictator. What necessitated that action? One say de bia minuanom omo ye the rightest. Minuanom omo say omo de omo call the right side of the politics no. Omo de bia omo pese omo super Kwame Nkrumah no. And na Kwame Nkrumah you say, na Kwame Nkrumah you say, na Kwame Nkrumah you say no. The big question ye busa omo say, Kwame Nkrumah na oye nipa boni ni from 1960s eba no. Dear na omo nso de ye Kwame Nkrumah ma ne bedane nipa boni ni. They will not tell you that story. To the extent say ye two Kwame Nkrumah nyina no, ye kofa ne maami na owo almost 92 years. Ye kofa Kwame Nkrumah maami by say omedi adanse mfantia ono ankasa ne ba Kwame Nkrumah say onye Ghana ni. Adentia. Kojo botu ene akwajemo wo kojo botu Kwame Nkrumah ni usia o London abonten so. Akwajei woni Kwame Nkrumah sia o London abonten so. Abra na Kwame Nkrumah free America no aba London. And the first Pan-African conference omo no Manchester. Kwame Nkrumah kobi. Enum na muhu say African child bi abakro ni mu or ye vibrant na abrofo ne dikan atenenka wa Americans and oba. Omo pe kwa bia so the police case epese ye chichire Kwame Nkrumah because broni onim nyansa ntino otimi hu ade free ye chire hu se akwa we onte Ghana ho but ye gya no ma de oye no koso aya wa ye bi wa America or de ba UK ha say no ya nhwe ne ye ya akwa we se onim no de kodru Ghana Obema W. Boy Du Bois, George Padmore, any Reeds, omu nyina no ideas no, obetam Marcus Garvey ne nko for the akwa control the minds. Ewo form ho. As at the time Kwame Nkrumah free London abonten so of far ship. Ewo Liverpool. Odi ba Ghana na oni kujo butu na eba. That time no yes say Ghana, yes say ni pass ni a friend say ni traveling document. Kwame Nkrumah could do takrade harbor no. Police for they detainee no ansa na yema ne kwan ma nako because ne edi kan send the documents wo UK ansa na o dey odu Ghana bonten so say akwa no or cause trouble why no so a rebel leader from the UK obi onim history bia no ebeka enyame na make count Belson Davidson or ye UK England broni ono na trust our story dey afa Kwame Nkrumah oni kojo boatu ena na eba after akwaje introduce you to power grant ema yese yenkofa Kwame Nkrumah mra no oba no odru Freetown nanko osi wo Liberia wensi into odru Freetown ena Kwame Nkrumah esi wo ho osi ye no akojo boatu eto aso no later na Kwame Nkrumah esan for another ship efri ho e de ba Ghana oba Ghana no because of some stopovers na oye no kwan mu ho nti no na ye di kan be trust Kwame Nkrumah papa free Liberia in December da it is because the first time I know free United Kingdom or far ship efri Liverpool de ba Ghana no o make some stopovers bi o Freetown and can go see wo Gambia when see o see wo Freetown o see wo Morovia ana forward ba Takrade because that time na ship and of fire into no a bus street to Takrade hono no into no kojo boatu mu edrum bi no a etu ayi no you see Nkrumah na ankasa no de ya me ya e wo Kwame Nkrumah ho no say na onim nipa kum senkana nko onim nipa kum ena na adwem bom te semia anka wo senka wo de sankofo nyina daase na ade a Kwame Nkrumah ntumi anye no eno na edi Ghana nya saa nyoma no ena Chinese leaders no na omu premiers no omu tumi yeye ebesi nne udi nkwase asem wo China wo be yere free system ni ena won se mo hwehwe Jack Ma mu no yes oman bia wa serious o chichire na ompese obema nkwase afo ho kwan ama o ma bese wo mu kuro mu no they handle people. At 92 years, na yakoswa Kwame Nkrumah maami abase omra medi adanse emfantia ono ankasamba ne ba Kwame Nkrumah se onye Ghana ni because na insiders edrum rebi ono akobla komla agbele gbedema pressure call ni suntino na wo so oyi ono ane twotwomucho a Kwame Nkrumah ko da prison gbedema and ye campaign for Ghana mantamu bia so ema Kwame Nkrumah it me win elections but edurechiri no pressure ne amount to ogbedema so ntine wo so yi Kwame Nkrumah no o se go betray no edrum remi no na gbedema kotena Kwame Nkrumah atamfo ka mu hwe unim Kumasi Donkek mensia ahemfie nim asem American Kumasi Donkek asanteman bodwa wo ho na Ajimai Prempeh the second ete ho ye ya adwen se ye beto Kwame bomb e wo Donkek ba bia oduru Kumasi a Queen Elizabeth the second ni primary school na e wo asem honom no onso ma yesterday to be o papa bi ogunsa yes sa area ho no na ye bodwa wo ho enipa dasani ye na adwen se Kwame Nkrumah baba dwabo na asenti ye beto ne bomb but that dwabo no na Ajimai Prempeh the second enso be ba asie bi asema mo kan ne se emeye nto bomb ne wo ha sei isan se ye hinkese ebe ba de na se nti ebia enya nipa no a na akonya omo de omo hinkese these things they will not tell you mo threaten nipa we so many times over 8 times enya no mu na Salifu Dagati or then who G2 edi save Kwame Nkrumah. Now because of the Kwame Nkrumah call US no. Na oko school nyina or a hustler. That time America need more thing for a before into oko school a was a usua nyoma bi a odi be safeguard on to Kwame Nkrumah sua martial art. Into one of the police for ananka omo attacking no Flagstaff house on Kwame Nkrumah kire omo martial art kitwa bi e no ball nipa no hwe ho. To ball nipa no hwe ho no na gas na ejina ne nche na omo pese omo kun sa police ni na nanka opeso kun Kwame Nkrumah Kwame kire no karat kakra bi no. Tomi Yesombuku now say no. Don't kill him. Don't touch him. He must talk. He must talk not here. And what say ukunu a unhu ne o tata. Inti he must talk ne kire say. And what say omo senate no. Yi wo mudimba. Eni say utifie ne e befa wo a. Wo se wo nya hwe because wo de onim say wa di bone apepa no ho na wote ho. But he must talk no. Unim dia akwane boboye. You have no idea. Into which one year before near do qua. Was me papa de wanya bone. Oh papa, all koya bone no one for well near tree. She said the air courses say o Ghana hon. Oh papa ko aduma the only man say or this car befi say o ko aduma no or koje bribe or ni obiba baby ko die and san no man aduma no. Oh ya where you have no idea. Whatever your parents go to work to do, what you are interested in at the end of the day, your child school fees. Have you been catered to? And what have you? Would ya would no? A choir papa fast word this cabefino, when found. It is a narrative necessary now, papa, ye betino na ye. Then Obeka say, oh papa ko adwuma onye hwe, but oh papa no de ni position no de di ma ansana wa form adwuma. Na oh papa obi ba beji bibi office wa na oje ni bribe, but obefia o meka nkyerɛw. Ba ye besoa ne de a. Ubehu ne wa besoa wo papa wa betene de ne kon so oyi ni pabone ni. And this narrative is what some of us we want to change. Uncle for the video I'm a boy or to na also. Adenti na ye two buzi afiri akonya so. But adenti a ye two Kwame Nkrumah afiri akonya so de eno de mfa no ho. Because kofo ne mpanyimfo buzi a no mo katre Kwame Nkrumah say how can this tiny boy from Nkrofo rule Ghana? Problem ni nyina no. Let me state it emphatically on this program that so be catch say Kwame Nkrumah edi Ghana boni bi oyen hu se nyame wo Ghana so a me se boa problem a ewo omu tirim free tetini besi nnen se on ka ye group ne ho a untumi medi ye so se enye ye ene asefo na edi mo so a obi foforo bi opese odi mo so bia no ye nti ase the statement how can that tiny boy from Nkrofo rule us because Nkrumah bai no na JB Dankwa no ye mpanyimfo. And JB Dankwa and co. saw themselves as the colonial vestiges, the remnants of the colonial practices, no? In this Abrofunumo Kodia, you don't look no other place apart from, don't look elsewhere. We are here. You have trained us. Mona Modi Yako School London, Yen Yako Oxford. And it's a move free cronim say yes, ye Jeff dia. Don't look no further. Look no further. Come to us. Yen ye mo mudi mochi jaye. Inti e bai say omo na omo free say ye de chibeja wo omo no. A Ghana fo no amfa omo ani anto omo so amfa omo re anse omo a. Omo di omo ani koto akoda bi a ye wo ni free Nkrofo na okọ America na aduane a na obedi wa America kra na edinti no. It got to a time Kwame Nkrumah ate from the trash. Okofa fish apro. Ya to agu no ahohoro ho no dia ye aduane and some African students na omo adi. Nkrumah one time ekọ shop ewo America say nsukom de no or pe cafeteria bi no anum nsuo no. The attendant at the time no e man bi a friend spit pool. Ade a yɛte ntosuo gum, ade bi ayɛ sɛ kontoa bi na ne kon tententen ana tete no na okɔ shop ne ade na apɛ sɛ wote ntosuo ne ade a wokɔti. Ɛno na ɔmo de kɔ sɛ nsuo sɛ yɛde ma Kwame Nkrumah sɛ ɔno. Nti Nkrumah baayɛ no a na ɔpɛ sɛ ɔhasti nneɛma na aborɔfo ne firi ne nsɛm no. You didn't know what Nkrumah went through. Abro kɔ America sɛ ɔkɔsua adeɛ. But because of Gofo no, independent within the shortest possible time, it was because yemma omo time na abrofo training omo ni omo asefo nyina nwie. So that Ghana fo na ni so no, omo na ebese na omo be fata se omo be die so. And this was our problem. The problem wasn't Nkrumah trying to be a dictator. Dubai yeto aba ho. Enye obi ni na busua na echichiri kuro na ni party mu. Every leadership quality be and I say every leadership style be we are sibiano. Any pros and cons. Any leadership style you try to adapt, they have their shortfalls. Whether you practice democracy, whether you practice dictatorship, any type of leadership style you want to employ comes with a specific type of problem. But we are not interested in the problems. We are solidly interested in how, when those problems come up, how we're going to solve them. Yesterday, I made a statement here that at the time Nkrumah was overthrown, not a single company Nkrumah established had reached like 7 years, even the space from like 6 years. The first company, and after the first organization Nkrumah started, say, that was around 50 something. Let me confirm from we say, 1958. And those ones were Gihok. Gihok was a body I was set here. You best set up different industries. The framework. Mekai Aboso Glass Factory 1966 na year to Nkrumah na no. Oko bie at 20 days or so. And year two. Vaco. Yetene na bay. Even akosomo vaco no. Even akosomo dam ne kran da ben say eye adwuma. So how can you base on say Nkrumah CC factories na ya anye feasibility studies anye bibia nwie. Meanwhile nipa no see factories na mo see wama economic woes aba. Meanwhile history say because of the position of Nkrumah in terms of the fears of influence and also at the time regarding who supports who. And Nkrumah tried to be neutral technically, not opposite or them finfin. And that was why he was able to get support from Russia and America so that Ombe build a friend is a Akusumoni Diamaye. At the time, Vaco, 1963, Tema Oil Refinery, about 90% of Nkrumah industries started or established within 1960s. And most of them, Ebikwa ye two Nkrumah, 1967, and ye commission ye, but near the care shasi. And how do you then understand the economic viability? How do you understand the progress of a company? Yatia and said that any 2 years, any 3 years, obey then what you see. Mobile na mobiguno. Adena Kofo by 2003, Bonsa, and as Aboso Glass Factory was still in operation. I didn't want one revival. No. Kofo by no na Ghana Railways na ye adwuma. Kofo e free no na egu. I didn't want revival. No. We always want to tarnish the politician. You see, and sometimes more politicians so more can who be. And a mama sa nyoma we nyina dey etumo. Se mo bie mu na mo ka no kura kire nipa no a anka saa kuhwisem a UP ne NPP fo ne omo nko fo de beto Ghana fo tirim no anka e ma ho kwan saa. Most of the factories hwe mame hwe se me pese me ye mame bobo bi nchiro State Fishing Corporation SFC 1962 ena Ghana a year State Fishing Corporation. When you say you establish BBA, it doesn't mean that Dana establish and start is a year jumo. That was the day you did two people so agreement BBA course, but and necessarily said that day nana production chance. So it tells you say a new money be brino nanka a beye after 1970. Because the friends say 10-year friends say 7-year development plan was 1963 to 1970. 1963 to 1970 a 7-year development plan. Then the other we say na ebe abetwa so akwa kosi 1985. Me say calculate from that period up to 1985. Now go back and check the economic trends and their cost for China. China at the year almost economic recovery within that period. Into when they reached in 90s, early 90s, China had reached the takeoff point. It is said the plane AB2 plane AB2 it has to first of all heat up the engine. Na on in namasase swa afi no a fire engine no obeti ne say on nam tarmac ne so na no wa take it off. In the heat of the firing of engine no emu no na obidi nso gu petrol ni mo and say fuel ni mo na shut engine no. How do you then afi ne yebetu to part no asan be building for na China, Korea, Japan na omu gina ho twen. And all the things they are held onto the net of Kwame Nkrumah, may say go and check. Is China practicing one-party system? Yes. Does the president of China has somewhat control over the judiciary system or judicial system in China? Yes. Is China part or is China practicing nationalized industrialization? Yes. Does China practice some kind of authoritarianism or dictatorship, be something like that? Yes. Is China allowing foreign interference in their politics? No. But Ocean Nyoma Kwame Nkrumah ye nyina no eno na China for na faso 1949 China cancelled out every political party and they made the Chinese People Communist Party, the Socialist Party, as their number one party. In this whole person you have to go through that process. And one Jinping, Chairman Mao Zedong, any Jintao Munina firm, who Jintao Munina, They passed through the same process. And how do you then justify your point that Nkrumah was a despot, Nkrumah was a dictator? Meanwhile, what Nkrumah sought to practice, some other countries have done it and have done so well to the extent that now China has kicked Europe, the entire Europe, from the manufacturing sector. And then BYD cars have flooded the entire Europe. Chinese cars all over. Into Ghana, now China cars, now come to Europe, come to the UK, go to America, Canada, and see for yourself whether you can find any country in this modern world that can compete China in terms of production. No. China keke Italy from manufacturing sector, no, wa keke the UK efrimu, wa keke France efrimu, and about world's production, no, about 60 to 70%, no, you produce free on neighbor. If you say Donald Trump buy ya, not the near British American companies emrefi, no. American companies no omun to me ma because omuko baka. The cost of production, no, ebe kosro, and they cannot compete the friends with the Chinese companies, no. Now, by virtue of nature's own intervention, bless the continent of Africa with this kind of great mind. But because we couldn't manage this great mind so well, now, no, some people are in this same great man's country trying to suppress his legacies, trying to completely obliterate Nkrumah from any serious political discourse. People in the diaspora will want to go to Ghana, see for themselves what Nkrumah did, the stories they've been hearing about Nkrumah, and they get to Ghana, and the first point of entry is a guy, has been named after a guy who assisted in the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah. What kind of conflicting? We no be because a flummoxed. Such a confused bunch of people living in, like, I don't know, say a cottage and a Donald Trump kind, or say the shithole. Completely confused group of people. You are selling something out there to the world, and anytime the world makes a move to come buy that thing, they come, and then the sellers will say that, oh, adiano enye. You paint it out there, Nkrumah a hero, Nkrumah is this, Nkrumah is that. But people come to get to your background or your backyard, and they find out that the person that they see to be a hero, no, in his own hometown, the people don't regard him. Now, also you're learned, and you think that we should confuse the world with this stupidity? And who in their right senses will buy into Kwame Nkrumah and his ideology? If indeed people, after traveling far, thousands of miles, reaching Ghana, and they find out that, oh, the story you've been hearing about Nkrumah was even not that a great leader, because back home, his people have honored a riffraff, have honored a cool guy, a military officer who was involved in the coup that toppled Nkrumah's government. And you think that some of us should come here and sit here, support this kind of stupidity? Inti yɛdwen kɔ he, yɛadwene kɔ he. Valco 1961. Gassem Cement 19 1967 yetu Nkrumah ansana yebie. Meanwhile now start the process no. Gasem started say year juma officially 1967 year to Kwame Nkrumah. And it's a Gasem edru baby no na problem about Kwame Nkrumah na ma problem ba Gasem mu ana say mono amukotu Nkrumah free ho. And that guy Kotuka died. And before he even died, no, he had regretted for being part because he was called into Mensia. He was called to Mensia for the whole process. That time he had transferred it now. Almost started cool, no, arrangement from the Northern Command. And the Northern Command, no, Tamale, Kumasi, and the Northern Command neighbor. At the time, no, the Southern Command and the Northern Command. Omo orchestrate ku ni nyina Kotuka ne Kwame Akwasi Amankwa Afrifa ekusia Kumasi na baafo akoto a na oye Kwame Twitwi a osɛ adwuma prempe the second ne tiame na omo connive yese yebetu Kwame Nkrumah sankofo no a na de banish Kwame Nkrumah from entering Kumasi say emani nsi Kumasi. And the last, as Paula Dumoche put it, say, they want to remove the last thing that will stand in as to name one of the nemesis of Kwasiasem. So the big question, and they say, Nkrumah was a dictator, yes. Nkrumah was a dictator, yes. And Nkrumah ye dictator no. Ye tu Nkrumah no. San nyoma no se sign anase a move from bad to worse. Nkrumah handle ye economy ni ye. Ye tu Kwame Nkrumah no. The big question is say ye economy no it move from bad to good. State housing. And we early we say no 1957. And almost established here. But the actual work na be ye juma no na a war the 7-year development plan. Now we have 7-year development plan. How the guy completely delineated the progress and your man like how we not obesia ye Ghana no. Look at Patasi, Ahinsan, all the estate wo Kumasi no nyina no. Ye tunu no mujagu ho until a champion buy no and no sha say oh to asa nyoma so. Before say champion be bakra no na baby a mo bobo kra na ni bi Kumasi. Na omo bobo ewo Jackson Park as asim hodom no. Sa baby a Metro Education Office no ewo no. Prempe Assembly Hall hodom no. Asase na da ho a mo de Jubilee Park no. Ehon na konesefo ne kotokofo nyina bobo until say a champion eba oba bisi Kumasi Sports Stadium 1974 ediama Kumasi for was started so be complete all the housing project na Kwame Nkrumah asase. These are some of the things. Why can't a before be solid for once? Say yes. In whatever we put our hands to do, we should understand that there will come in the process failures or we will fall along the line. But say said we don't want to accept defeat for once. And we think that the moment we put our hands to things, we shouldn't think of failure, we shouldn't think of mistake, we shouldn't think of some shortfalls. That on our part is what is always taking us back. because ye na be before no enu nti okoye bibia na ne yonko defeat no pe was what they drew na defeat no because onyi ntum say ono aye mistake makoye referendum Kwame Nkrumah renew elections mosi wa reggae elections na Kwame Nkrumah no person oye dictator why in the first place say oh yes a referendum no ade bia Kwame Nkrumah ye bia no Ghana for the man ho kwan man ye Ghana for na ne hu say ye jai Ghana no de say JB dan kwane buzi ansemu a omebo man no enti Kwame yakoto aba oman ni nyina ya freedom ene friend referendum ya freedom ene ya kire ya adwin say wa akoso etena yeso kosi say ubewu na Paul Adomoche na wo Samson ayi nene mo abetena honum na mo twa atro de akire history student a ewo Ghana from GHS SHS to university na professors te Ghana ho mo aye din na Paul Adomoche kwasiampanyi we abetena TV so ka kire say Kwame Nkrumah impose ne ho ewo Ghana fo so say oye and a friend say lifetime president document e no ewo hin but document ewo ho ewo Ghana parliament e say e Ghana parliament Ghana eto aba ene ye hwe so ene ye ka say Kwame Nkrumah nye lifetime president even with the flag mosi ye no red white and green no ni nyina no Ghana a mindful ene Ghana referendum consolidation ye no ene man ho kwan man yes ade no because at the time no Ghana for ni didie wo mu enti mu kogina se mu to aba JP dan kwana mpasua so ne kuro mu ba bi ofri ne nkofo anto aba amfa ma no CPP ni owo ene wini ye na CPP ni no owo na wa wini na all represent mpasua no so fo no na wakọ parliament na yakọ pass mra wo se Kwame Nkrumah ne passes amra no ene otia you have a problem say Kwame Nkrumah edin wo the 1960 constitution ni mu ontiase but chieftaincy act ye de asante hene edin abamu eno de mo tiase mo ye nkwasiafo na mugu Ghana kuro ni mu o se Kwame Nkrumah ye constitution and ordinary din asem it should have read say the president adena ye state chiefs e wo Ghana de ya anye se chiefs na Ghana chieftaincy act ne de ye tro the asante hene and the paramount chiefs how different is asante hene from the paramount chiefs no on sen nkofo we won sa omo agi we no enti no mbekọ so atena emfuturo ni ateche ene proye ni mu because nyansa pa e free nyansa no omo ni bi se enye omo na eye de a obi ade enye ba se ye ne ye ni nim ye kura na ye de ye you have a problem say ya true constitution anye Kwame Nkrumah na true constitution no the people of Ghana na true constitution no he enkofo he me on Sa akamfo na ewo Ghana ho no. Asantefo, Achimfo, Kwawfo, Akuapemfo, Fante, Bono. Ye say ye nkwasiafo ne egu kuro ni mu. A majority of the times no say enuma bi favor ya. Ye pese ye tu amanfo dodo ni nyina de atugu. And the reason ti a yentumi mfa twi kasa no enye ade papa bia wo kurom ho eye ye nkwase suban we nti ena frafrani ente ase enkrani onte ase anwunani no onte ase because anka enye se ompese obeti ase se ye beka twi o oye willing so obisua because ukoboga marketer or the asant friends say twi kasa no edidwa oko agbabulushi ye nkran no or the twi kasa no edidwa. But the nti a ompese obeti ase ne se oma ho kwan na ye de ko school demo a wo akani no beye wadwen se enam se wo ye kese ase no nti ena osua ukasa yesuban fon ne yesuban tantan we nti ena da so te ba bia yete na nke ye den obi te Tamale market o ma Kumasi da onko Sunwan da onko Koforidua da onko akankro bia so da enso timi ka metomo metowi enti sanka ye de kire no na nka osua na nka be official language da ma ya nka ne de ye ne nka ne sei ba ya yesuban fun we nti won say ama agyeman bedu kro no so ya akani no owo problem say adenti na ye nyina ye ahemfo a ye wo man mu nanso yekofa ohene baako say the Asante hene and the paramount chief edise Ghana Chieftaincy Act ni mu. That technical statement na ewo no e true kire amanfo bi say ya state say the Asante hene and the paramount chiefs there, then there should be some little distinction between Asante hene no and the paramount chiefs no. And no Paul Adomoche and the rest of you guys no no problem. But in 1960 enye Kwame Nkrumah na tro yo Ghana for na ye tro constitution de Ghana president first president say mu say only so the lifetime you know. And no de ye wo problem because Kwame Nkrumah enye Asante hene enye JB Dankwa JB Dankwa dia anka Paul Adomoche be justify because they saw say Kwame Nkrumah was not from any meaningful home. And this buttressed the point why Namzi Azikiwe any Kweji Agri kache Kwame Nkrumah say emane nko London enko suade na onko Pennsylvania ewa America UPenn na onko suade o Lincoln University and Pennsylvania honum. Because Kweji Agri o miti Kwame Nkrumah wa Achimota no asema o kache ni say me wo fase me hu se sa enkofo we mu he at the time ana Kwame Nkrumah free Ghana nyina no na we hu JB Dankwa musuban no we hu all sa enkofo ni nyina na omo fi so ma ye lawyers no we hu musuban enti emre bi Kwame Nkrumah akwaje ko kache ni se yese omra no obusa se hwan mu na afom sa ku no ena obobo odin no Kwame Nkrumah katre akwaji say sankofo ne de omaye omo adwen say omo ye abrofo e wo omo adwen mu na omo honam ene say bibifo asem we na Kwame Nkrumah kache akwaji ne ema Kwame Nkrumah ba Ghana eye ne wo fa pa grant na Kwame Nkrumah ye enzimani a na pa grant nso ye enzimani ene motivate ye won say when it comes to the UGCC here, pa grant enye vibrant. Yeah, the vibrancy no at the ma JB Dankwa. Meanwhile, pa grant no ono tini movement. Ono na wosika. Olodu ni timber. Or the biko Hamburg. No the biko Liverpool. Na a good ship mu no akoton. Pa grant timi fa ship. E free Ghana. Any bruni kotnase. E discuss say. Enuano mo Anthony say ya me nton ni say mfama mo. That was the power na power grant wo. And until our team movement na abrofne ntimi harassing because the news na akwa no or a multi-billionaire, no millionaire, billionaire, or owning a ship or do had in the timber from the shores of Ghana, not the called Liverpool, not the Biako Hamburg, not a supply my previous a dredge, a relegated background to the background, to the backbench. Ne din kwasiafo a na omo papa no nika pre na omo hye mpataase se omo di ahenie bi o bi sika ben na ewa ahenie ni mu enne na mutimi ton nsase 5 billion tete na de ben na ewo ho na galamsey ni ho nti de na ewa akonya na mote ho na de na ewo ho na omo ho propra. We grew up and we saw how Mensia Palace na tie ne ekobobo wo ho ne ye to ball akura gu wo ho obi a watena Aston bia can attest to that. Side na a core S5 no na baller is soon Mensia ahemfie no no. Just 2000s yi mo no mutimi a clear baller. Omo clear sa baller ni free kura no. A little over 20 years now. I saw it. Franka Mankwamo ekobo ball na omunya off season na omo nyina eba. Baby o my ne grassland a woman Mensia ne ho no a ene we friend is saying ahemmoboa no eye opposite no sa asase na eda ho mo de grassland e ho na afi bia beso a December ye bo interlines e ho areas e wokumasi na ye bobo na akoto Mensia Palace ho sa bia o masi ho no na yakofa na yaba e ho mfuturu basa na nsen na galamsey amamo ahemfo mo asebi into that time na Nkrumah ho na de na mo ye twa omo video ba omo kom nkase ne ade and Nkrumah was trying to lift my life no dey drew some pedestal be here and so mo se mo mpe e fini mu ana mo betena. Unia obese sound I say YouTube. I think it's a sound no eba into minim the entire moka say YouTube sound. I say go to check your sound. Sound neba into minim the entire. Hello. Sound neba into minim the entire moka say min check his sound. It's okay. Andy. Sorry, Andrew Blamo. See, well done. Charlotte Plan just say it's okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Andrew say sound yeah, the sound is good. Say or for more meet me be mu amamo. Maybe mu amamo. Ti me be mu amamo he. So me nuanom ne adofo. Me nuanom ne adofo. Enye se ye tan obi ene ye do obi. Me say we live in an era obi ntimi metwa ntrom fa obi ahomfa nkyerɛw. Ena maka kyerɛw no. You let NDC any Mahama omonfa nyoma bi nko parliament sisi a because Ghana for buafu NPP ni omo UP fraternity no a enne omo ni any reasonable numbers bia or parliament no omo nko for parliament no bi o nanso so opa yemfa mra nko ho parliament no ye de mra ye the rules of the game na ye adwuma ye koto ade bi so aba na se ye gitumu a enkofo we etena ommeba beka se Mahama ede ne ho hye Ghana fo so enso enam se enchirima ne bi ntiase na se omotiase so omonim the happenings e koso ntino you may think say na enkofo a omo parliament wo nyina na omo ye NDC fo. This is what Paul Adomoche has made us to believe as if during the time of Nkrumah all the members of parliament were CPP members. Meanwhile, there were other independent candidates. No, you can go and check the records, Parliament, almost composition there to say there were other smaller political parties now more representatives where they Parliament. But as they are saying right now, you may think that in those days there wasn't any other political party member apart from the CP. And this is how they are changing the narrative. And they make it look as if Nkrumah single-handedly changed the minds of Ghana. The Nkrumah, the love the Ghanaians at the time had for Nkrumah, not UP for the nation wreckers, you feel almost the Quislings, you can't be a Quisliner or be a betrayer. The Quislings at the time, nti ase say ensem ne atoro a yedi fa Kwame Nkrumah ho nyina no Ghana for dom se Kwame Nkrumah ye Juju, Kwame Nkrumah ye this, Kwame Nkrumah ye that, ena Kwame Nkrumah ye Juju, ena Kwame Nkrumah ye ena ne puma ena ne che, ne make unfounded allegations say Nkrumah etimi ko Eastern region konfo bi ho, ena okosi obatan opimfo oba wonyem ye see no waduro mu ne de aduro ma no. Hey, I want to say, the more you guys tell lies about Nkrumah, the more powerful that guy becomes. When the Kutuka to airport so just to shatter his legacy. Amfa KNUST mu yi ni din free so. Ena JJ Sambe fa din ne to so. Ni nyina mu amfa. Asafo market na ye Kwame Nkrumah market. Obi onim Kumasi bia no etiase na eye Kwame Nkrumah market. Mu yi ni din free so say ye ntena ho ma akwa we di medade so Kumasi. Mu yi ni din free so. Eno so amfa. Asafo market na ni din de Nkrumah market. Eno nti a ye nyini wo Kumasi a ye ba nyina no. Asafo market any central market enu 1 kilometer o. Distance no enu 1 kilometer. Enso so obeko na central market abo apie so a ne nipa nya ba bi ntena na asafo no stores ni mu dida ho. Enu nti na ma mpaboafo ekugu ho mre bi a onenam ho a ayese ekura bi a onenam efie obi antim sa na asafo market no etie. Onim ni ntia Kumasi forecast edi na eda dwa no so nti ye nkotena ho kura nyeda yi enni dwa no ne omo ka no Kumasi ho no shoe factory egu ye because omo so omo ntom paboa no na na mo fi se na mo yeye anase mo ye hwan ena enyini aba me call Ghana 2 days or 3 days ago am free Ghana bedru ha sei no me say the youth a ewo asanteme mo ya de edim se kuro ni nyina ne ze akoye buying and selling onam kuro ni mu a me call baby a Vena water any boss omo warehouse ni Vena water for factory ni wo kaase na me trans yon na am say so be wo yefunu boni obetan wo yem a afi no uyem bebon a ugina nipam na o kasa na uyem bon na efa wanum na egu wanimu ase na afi obi ehu se wanum bon hwe Kumasi industrial area no one hu baby a Ashtown abesi asafo no abesi amekom edum ɛhɔnom na Kumasi na nipa ne te. And at the other side no, a free stadium a part of Amekum kofa asokwa, kofa ahensan, kofa kase, atonsu, chapatre, esre so nyinaa no. Nkrumah de hɔ yɛ sɛ ɛhɔ yɛ Kumasi industrial zone. Enti o starte pa from Amekum Children's Park hɔnom no a Edward Nizer biscuit factory nie. Na Edward Nizer san wɔ bakery a na ɔmo to pan wɔ hɔ. Ɛkɔ akɔfa baabi a Calvary Methodist fo ne wɔ no. Ɛhɔ nyinaa no na ɛyɛ production ayi. Ɛkɔ baabi a saa New Apostolic fo no asɔredan ne si ɛwɔ It's My Kitchen opposite no. Ɛkɔ ɛfa saa side wɔ ɛkɔ no. Na afei wo de kɔ asokwa. Na ura asokwa ne mu a Daniel Sawmill se hɔ. Other sawmills a ɛhyehyɛ hɔ. Na wawuram ɛnna ma apia minka mu nyinaa kɔ hyɛ asokwa akyiri hɔnom a na ɔyɛ apino soap. Na efiri ahensan kɔ breweries, Coca-Cola, mahwan, ɛkwa kosi kaase. Na me nua sɛ factories yɛ di kan etimi hwɛ so ɛna ɛkɔ so ne yie a kanopa menyini behwɛ bio anopa tututu bonsa Luga Junction LL Locks, Lumber and one for LL4 bars efa Bibini Timbers breweries one anopa Luga Junction bonsa no omo twi nipa ede ifri ho eko ofori kunu nko ano na pencil factory ehye ho mattress factory ehye ho adentia but nipa dasanisi na Nkrumah ebo oman no ti saa nyoma we toa so a ebesi ne a anka obekɔ China anka ebia Burkina fo bɛba bɛfa nyoma we hɔ komo nkɔ China unua bibini nya saa nyansa na China ni anya enne udu China Shanghai Pandu na wohwɛ Shanghai hɔ no mo a na wani agye sɛ ɛyɛ de no mo kyikyiri kuro no ekuro no a ohu ni saa no enye saa na 1960s na Shanghai ti o omo nya sika no omo bubu danfo no omo si in the 60s ni bi enna from 2000 abc this time no 26 years now no and omo aye massive reconstruction wo China ho enne America presidents mu nyina omo du China no omo yemu ahye omo say the kind of construction and reconstruction that echoes for China no a mind blowing, mind boggling. Charlotte, fuguni die me wo more na mde ti akwantu mu ha. We white. Eno na say me she baako. Fugu kwa we ebs 4. Me fugu nkwa me wo kra ebs 4. Yeah. Me nuanom ne adofo. Until we stop behaving this way, we will never make any kind of headways in our lives. And if you're someone listening to me now, you have to understand, say, if someone is knowledgeable, if someone is wiser than you, just admit, accept it, go to that person humbly and learn that person's way. Or say, you okwadofo contact and chain. How do you go to the ant? If you don't go stoop low to get to the level of the ant, you can never know the ways of the ant. You cannot be upstanding and know and get to know how the ant moves. You need to stoop low, go to the level of the ant, and in so doing, you get to learn the tricks the ant uses. Prince, mini alawe, Michia, Kaima Stars. Gershon Abiu. I say yes. Greetings from Ofurikrum. Yeah, I was in Ofurikrum all my time. I'm a bag I mean, in Honoma and in Tech and in Abu Asawase na Ushe Asawas na Ushe me call Zabu Zongo. Hey! Zabu Zongo no ye the community opposite Mensiano. Na me nkofo na mo say eh Mensiana ye kan na me say Mensiana ye kan nyina no. Eno ni na edi Ghana boni bi sinne. Na bi omuti ni efimu na omuti. Efimu na omuti because omo ampe see e ben left to omo life di ama omo. Efimu na omuti. Nana Pokia don't fe. Nana Afishiapa, Echia, baby bia, obia. And this is it. Enti kekre ne njaya kuko nsu nyai. Se mo fi se Kwame Nkrumah. Oh, Paul Adumochi was saying that we are seeing Nkrumah as 100% human being. Yes, he is. And the same way you don't see him to be 100% and you see him to be a 10% human being. We see him as 100%. So we have no qualms about how you see Nkrumah. But I just don't want people to peddle this false narrative that Nkrumah forced himself on the people of Ghana as their lifetime president. It is palpable lies, emphatic falsehood, and no one should allow anyone to sit on any of our national television to peddle this kind of falsehood because a dictator will never put issues to vote. Anyone that dictates, I don't know a dictator, I don't know how to say and I said, any part said not being a Nkrumah lifetime president because they saw at the time that Nkrumah was more savvy. His sagacity was beyond his contemporaries. The contemporaries, no, not even Kenneth Kaunde, Julius Nyerere, and then Namzi friends Jomo Kenyatta. They couldn't understand Nkrumah. Senkena omo Nkrumah, if they had truly understood Nkrumah's ideas, they wouldn't have created those two blocks, no, the Morovia block and then the Casablanca block, no. If they really understood Nkrumah's ideals and ideologies and ontology, political principles, now, I tell you, they wouldn't have created those kind of the Casablanca block and the Morovia block, no. Because they didn't understand Nkrumah. And they created stupid blocks, and the enemies got their ways through and decimated every plans of Nkrumah by going through some quislings they found in these respective countries. Okwa or the Desire Mobutu Sese Seko, a quizzling in the case of Congo. Ufobwanyi was used and it was very instrumental in the 1966 coup na happened in Ghana, because he was called the darling boy of the French people and the Europe. That was Ufobwanyi. He was the coup and everything was planned. He was part and everything. There was this man, Danlati. He was very instrumental in that coup, 1966 coup. Danlati no who He was also part. Domestication man. Yes. Great Consolidated People's Party. Danlati. Coup sa koso Ghana ho nyina no ohye biase. Omo nyina omo ye quislings. Omo wi a omo fa kutu na ti na omo abehye mu. Omo pese Omo dada mo so omo ne do oman no omo boa. We are here. We will expose all of them one by one. Timi nua wote so obi ka se Nkrumah ye ne ho dictator no obusa ne se a dictator or the ade ko election e ma ne nkofo to so aba. Oma kwan me ye referendum ana. So ka se there be a na afi wako Google no obusa se was Nkrumah's lifetime president state issue, no? Was it backed by the people or was it backed by parliament or what? Most of the say yes, it was put to referendum. The freedom ni I said, Madam for me the kind say referendum ni say yen freedom na dom ni metre na adwen. Who said in a yes, any friend referendum no. The thing was put to referendum and then the plebiscite any ade near the year. What na so aka uwi abeka say Nkrumah ye no lifetime president. There were four things omodi yes omodi be to Nkrumah. Economic problems, political authoritarianism, military and then public disfaction, and then external interference. External interference no ho ana CIA ni nneɛma but CIA ontimi ma wo krom abra ohun se akromfo wo krom obetimi ayusu wo de achieve ni goals to ma ho kwan, and people were put on payroll say yemmoa ne yense oman no yese oman no wie no omo kwa akwaji omo sika yese yemfa sika bi anyede ema omo broni se wagimi yepese yese ade no na wo economy ni say ya ya create economy inti no whatever you see at Europe adwuma boost wo ho no Europe no achieve say obesay adwuma bi a yebe create no Africa na odi adwuma na ba ne krom enu nti betumi asesa Africans nyina kogo Europe still a yenya ebenya adwuma aye still a no yenya ebenya adwuma aye enu nti na wo ya aban na wo ba na wo tu ani so say wo pese wo ma nkofo ye adwuma e wo mo akrom a na wo ani abre because the moment Africans start to create their own works in their backyard, no, then it means that no work will be shipped, will be exported into any European or American or Asian countries. And it's where Jimmy, Bruni, no, or be making good use of Jimmy. No, I do be see at our friends saying, no, a bessentia, ya crobibia. Young kind messages back with it. I have checked the constitution and there's nowhere Asante Hini's name was mentioned. I am talking about the Chieftaincy Act. Chieftaincy Act, no. The Asante Hine is right inside the Chieftaincy Act. I didn't say the constitution. I said the Chieftaincy Act. This Chieftaincy Act, no. Why did they mention Otum Asante Hine in the woman? I didn't mention Asante Hine. Paramount chiefs are paramount chiefs because Otumfo is a paramount chief. Though if you don't know, Otumfo is the chief of Kumasi. Other chiefs no dwa ben hene ne nkofo. Omo na omo ate ase say ye nyina he paramount chiefs o but wo no ye pese ye de etumi ma. Se mo mo akeka mo de abom na mo so me de be mo obi a, it doesn't make Asante Hene no bigger or mightier than Gamanche. Because se Gafo ni nyina so keka bomu a na omo so say omo de omo paramounts ni nyina keka bom na omo yi ba ko se under omo so a e de se wo de na sa na ye call northern belt nso so sa there are so many paramounts wo ho no. Into why do you then state say the Asante Hene and the paramount chiefs? What do you want to mean? And what was the need for you to state categorically say the Asante Hene? Because Asante Hene also was a paramount chief. And no na man nemanfo gyina so ye, but wo betena TV so ade a Ghana mra ama Kwame Nkrumah a yede ne din ahye constitution mu de wo problem. And nti no because Kwame Nkrumah din akọ constitution mu nti no or a despot or a dictator or a authoritarian. When in now modern day slavery, great. Dennis Safwa Sante. Sorry, Dennis Safwa Sante. And a well done, Nkoto, of 10. Mhm. Charlotte Plange. Oh, Ghana. Priscilla Cook, Modern Day Slavery. Wambio. Omar Ibrahim. I have checked the constitution. Okay, I just read that one. Paul is a gaslighter in chief. Pathetic, yes. Zigma 8470. And then Prince Lawe in Koto the best. Thank you, Minia Lawe. Um, Kenneth Kenneth Oklu, good job, Prof. Andrew Blamo, I don't have fugu. Can someone dash me one? Yes. Nkawa has say now bear me. Meet me at Chaudian, media back because me credit also mean simple. Greetings from Uforikrom, Gershon, and Andy Moles. Turn yourself into an ant to understand them. Yes. If you don't turn to be internet, Paul say, before so bit me sometimes also be able to say no, don't let the people see that you are different from you are different because yes Anna, they will not listen to you. So be like them, and in trying to be like them, you get them to understand you and follow you. Kevin Jojo Jordan. Wow, that's awesome. Respect you really. Respect you. You respect. Oh, sorry. Awesome. Respect. You really know Kumasi indeed. Yes, I know Kumasi because me fruma, me hona, me krum, me bibi ahwana ye. Yes. Can you imagine Guinness Ghana in Kumasi has closed down? Yes, long time. You say no, omo nye bibi aho. Kasi hono, omo ba na omo de finished product aba. Accra Brewers, I don't know, said that's Juma in Koto. Now, Nkoto is wearing fugu. That's great stuff. Yes, thank you. I'm going to let JM test the 1964 referendum now. Let's see. It will be deja vu. Yes, it will be a deja vu. Deja vu. Yes. Adia SNCBU. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if there were any wise people living in Ghana during Nkrumah's time. There were, but the unfortunate thing is that whenever people are surrounded by foolish people and they don't want to talk, they turn out to be considered as as fools as such. The whole world will champion Dr. Nkrumah. And then replying to okay, um, good. Yes, the UP tradition knows that without tribalism, they are nothing, and that's why they're still clinging to it. And the history class has to be frequent because lawyer Anoche seems to embellish fact when the fact don't favor the Asantis. And yes, and then pray. Kankanyame, how did they get people to believe such lies? And to conclude on this matter, the Kankanyame story, no, I will be a busa Kwame Nkrumah say, na Kwame, aden na utimi like unsemone, and yoma awoye no, too powerful, sir. Na nyame bɛn na wosom no. Nti Kwame Nkrumah casted in mind back when he went to Lincoln University at the time in Pennsylvania no. Okoye theology. Na theology no na edru Saturdays and as a weekends na oko Baptist Church ewa America na oko preachy na otie o Harlem Street nso so na otie like um America for no ne Trinidadians ne all the Caribbean Jamaicans and no so aye enlighten or awaken no otiti omo na who say sa theology na wosua no theology na wosua no at the time no na bogus enti obehuu sɛ nyame bie no a ɛso sen nipa wonyansa enti Kwame Nkrumah to sa nnwoma no ɛtotwene ɛne ma ne kɔɔ UK no nkɔpɛ sɛ ɔyɛ philosophy because usua philosophy a philos means love, sophy means knowledge, o bɛpɛ nyansa the man Kwame Nkrumah hu yɛ hu ne sɛ ɔto biribi okusua in terms of economics, in terms of theology, in terms of winning nyinaa totwene ɛna ɔyɛ sɛ obesua philosophy until until philosophers are kings, no, the world will not know peace because philosophers, no, they operate from the higher levels of knowledge and the dijuma. Inti ade bi wɔ hɔ a economic principles no ebe fail you ba philosophy no ebe boa wo. Ɛno na Arthur Lewis na ɔnte Kwame Nkrumah ase no. Arthur Lewis hu ne sɛ ɔyɛ great economist but Kwame Nkrumah nso so yɛ great philosopher. Meanwhile no abrɔfo no hu adwene na ɛda ne yam. One of the professors ka kyerɛ Kwame Nkrumah say Kwame Nkrumah doesn't have this kind of analytical mindset to be a philosopher. Na Kwame Nkrumah yɛ den ɛsere because this is the way abrɔfo no ɔmo undermine obi a ɔmo mpɛ sɛ like ɔmo hu so greatness wɔ mu but ɔmo pɛ sɛ nkɛ ɛwɔ ɔmo side na ambɔ ɔmo side no saa na ɔmo yɛ na Nkrumah hwɛ wɔ ɔmo but obi a ɔni analytical mind or philosophical mind no ɛyɛ den na ɔtwerɛ book a the whole world after 1966 ɔtwerɛ Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism no obi a ɔnyɛ philosopher twerɛ book wi dia saa particular book no abrɔfo no kaeɛ no ɛna ɔmo bɛteki sɛ yɛbɛyi no afiri hɔ. Obi a ɔnyɛ philosopher no only philosophical mind and only analytical mind no watwerɛ book Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism no na afei yɛhwehwɛ no. So what necessitated the overthrow no in a book no ɔtwerɛ no or published in 1965 no ɛna ɛde saa nnwoma no nyinaa yɛdɛ ɛbaeɛ. In saa nnwoma na Nkrumah yɛ no na ɛso na ɛbo amanfo nyansa so nti ɔmo busa Nkrumah sɛ na woyɛ dɛn na ayɛ wei ɔsɛ me nsum nyame no a obroni de n'ase book mo de ama mo no na me sum kane nyankopɔn no a na broni nyammae na ɔne yɛ nananom te no saa nyame no ɛna me sum no na ɔsɛefoɔ pɛ wasɛe wo na ɔtamfo ɛnso pɛ sɛ ɔsere wo a ɔsa wasa a na wakyea ne pa ɛna ɔmo sɛ kankan nyame yɛtu Nkrumah no na ebi mu afeki sɛ yɛkɔɔ ne room baako bi ne yɛkɔhu sɛ ɛna kukuo na deɛ nyinaa no amfa. Kwame Nkrumah never dies. He lives on. And wawu long time ago. And so this period, no, from the time UP for Nkwasiafo no bi di ade free Akufo-Addo time no, and Kwame Nkrumah edin abeye more profound in our political discourse. And you say during the time the vestiges, the vassals of the colonial people no be Emma Ababeye president no. That period no and ran Kwame Nkrumah abeye active JD time obi no ye did say if JD time no ye did say yes Kutuka airport no be anka was a sign or the military as a sign. But during Akufo-Addo time no and Kwame Nkrumah din abenyen munyam more. Inti yesi ye renovate on the omde Kwame Nkrumah ye renovate Kwame Nkrumah mausoleum opeso oye na okache NDC for say mo na mo ye Nkrumah yes but mo ntimi renovate o renovate Kwame Nkrumah mausoleum a eye de na akofa akwajeje bi dan kwamo a portrait ekobo a museum that has been named and was built technically for one person e de na ade people for a portrait ekobo bowo ho ewo Nkrumah mausoleum ho. Yes, and not show the mindset of Nkofobi. How stupid, how unwise, how dim-wit such group are. In Nkrumah, ni Juju no, ano a ding in his time, ano asa ye ding in our time, and ano be koswa ye ding when we are dead and gone. No one, no African country, no African student will go into history. And I want Kwame Nkrumah who said, "You do be see a for a friend send you be say it has always been your one and only Nkoto 101 on YouTube, Facebook is Nkoto. You can get me live sometimes on the Loud Silence TV, and this time is going to be fire. There will be detail one of the way they are home to 2 year home proper. Na say this two TV ni suna ɛbɛkɔ nkura n'ase no ama nkɔfoɔ hu sɛnea nkɔfoɔ bi so ba ɛsitie no ɛna mobɛte nsɛm a yɛbɛka akyerɛ Ghanafoɔ ɛne obi a ɔsɛ ɔtan Kwame Nkrumah ɛne obi nso so a ɔsɛ ɔdɔ Kwame Nkrumah no yɛbɛboa no na wate nsɛm no na wate ne yie yɛde bɛsi a yɛda foforɔ bɛfiri nsɛnde no yɛbɛsi a yɛakra mo bye bye.
Since we had our independence, the country is moving on with a big improvement.
What do you think of Dr. Nkrumah?
He's doing well to our country, and I like him very much.
What do you think of Dr.
Oh, I like him the same. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, I like him.
What do you think?
Oh, I don't like him.
Why not?
Because he's about to be a dictator.
He wants to be a dictator?
Yes.
What do you say to that?
I like him.
You think he wants to be a dictator?
Yes, sir.
You do?
No, sir.
What do you think?
Please, no, sir. I don't like to be a dictator.
But what do you think about Dr. Nkrumah? Do you think he wants to be a dictator?
Please, no, sir.
What do the rest of you think? Do you like Dr. Nkrumah or not?
Yes,
we all like him. You seem to be a bit of a minority. What do you do for a living?
I am a photographer.
What, with still cameras?
Yes.
Have you ever seen television? This film is for television.
Actually, I have not seen it personally, but it's just in cinema.
You don't do any work, do you?
It's any school.
Do you work hard at school?
Pardon?
Do you work hard at school?
Please, yes, sir.
What do you work hardest at?
English.
English?
Yes.
Well, you speak it very well.
Please, yes, sir.
Have you heard about this Russian thing which is going around the world?
Yes.
Have you heard about that?
Yes, sir.
This sort of thing going right around the world. What do you think about that?
It's man-made moon.
It's what?
Man-made moon.
Man-made moon. What do you think about it?
I think they just want to know if there's another Earth in the moon.
What do you think about Russians? Do you think Ghana should be more friendly with Russia or stay very friendly with Britain?
We stand friendly with Russia.
Do you? Do you not like the British?
We like them.
You like British?
Yes.
Do you want them to be in the Ghana to stay in the family of British nations?
Yes, sir.
A new country.
I dare say that the 69 Constitution will work today. If you look at the provisions of it, it will work today. 79 will work today. They should tell us whether 1960 Constitution will work today. A constitution that says that the president can sack